Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, I'm a tarot coach, and this is another dose of mindful tarot coaching. In this video, I would like to invite you for a short self-reflection journey. We are going to take a closer look at one card in the major arcana that I have chosen randomly, and we will see what kind of lessons and questions this card raises. So what can we learn from it, and how can it help us in our self-reflection journey, and how can it help us to find more flow, ease and fulfillment in our life. As always, I invite you to pick what resonates and take only those things and messages that feel right for you at this moment, the things that you can accept, and feel free to leave the rest. Well, another important thing to know is that this video is going to be an inspiration. As you may know, the tarot universe is a super complex and very multi-layered one, and we could talk for hours about each card. I don't want to do that. Instead, I would like you to use this video as an invitation, as an impulse, and as an inspiration, and I would like to invite you to add your own comments, your own questions, your own thoughts for it. This is the purpose of this video, and not to tell everything about this card, but because it is kind of impossible. Alright then, last but not least, there are several ways of using this video. In case you find this video shortly after the premiere, which is April 2022, you can take it as a sign from the universe, as an invitation to work with this topic during the coming month. However, you can use this video at any time and get back to it at any time when you feel the need for it, when you feel like, okay, this is the topic that you have to work on now. So these videos are accordingly is kind of timeless. And again, you can get back to it over and over and over again. And by the way, this is something that I highly recommend, because the cards have this nature that they have very multidimensional and multi-layered meanings, and they unfold with time. So depending on in what phase you are in your life, you can always discover new things. That's why it is highly recommended to get back to them from time to time. Alright then, this was the usual intro and disclaimer, and now we can get started. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the card of the month is the Wheel of Fortune. One of my favorite cards in the whole deck, by the way. If you ask me, this is the card that represents life in its wholeness. This card is super multidimensional and super multi-layered, as you will see. But first, let's take a look at the card and its symbolism. And before we dive into that, I would like to invite you for a quick warm-up task. So push the pause button and take a pen and a paper, sit down and write down everything that comes into your mind when you observe this card. These can be ideas, thoughts, phrases, emotions, bodily sensations, anything. You can't be wrong. Feel free to associate as you like, and when you are ready, we can dive into that. And I hope that by that the picture gets sharp. All right, then there we go. All right, so as you can see here in the middle, we have a circle. This can represent the sun, for example, or a circle. It can also represent a compass or a coin. And within the circle, we can see several letters. T, O, R, and A. And based on how I put them together, I can put together several words. For example, rota, which is the Latin word for wheel and cycle. Another possibility is Tora, which stands for low. And of course, we can also put the tarot, the word tarot, together. Well, on the outside of the circle, we see a snake descending here on the left side. The snake is the god of evil. It represents the life force manifesting in the material world. On the other side of the wheel, we can see the ancient Egyptian god Anubis, who is the god of the dead. And on the top of the wheel, we can see a sphinx, which represents knowledge, mystery, karma, and maybe the querent itself in a reading. In the four corners of the card, we see four angels. They can represent the four archangels, the four evangelists, but also the four basic elements like water, fire, air, and earth. And last but not least, we have the number 10 on the top of the card. And the number 10 stands for the completion of a cycle. So it is about ending of a circle and beginning of a new one at a higher level. Well, this is the symbolic of the card. And now we can dive into the meaning. Well, if I have to list up the meaning in some keywords, I would say completion, luck, turning point, karma, destiny, choice, and change, etc. And now let's take a closer look at some of those topics. Well, first and foremost, this card represents change. The change which is the only constant thing in life. Life is a rhythm. It goes in cycles and it is about change all the time. It is also about having those ups and downs. And it is very important to understand that they go hand in hand. So we can be always on the top of the cycle. Sometimes we have to descend so that we can ascend and rise up again. It also means that the wholeness, the completion, the perfectionism of this cycle and life has a lot to do with the polarities, like good and bad, and light and dark and the like. So it means that everything is part of life, right? And that's why we have to embrace each of these things. So everything, right? Because everything else would be basically against the nature of life. Well, what we also have as a very important topic with this card is luck. More often than not, this card changes means luck, a good turn of events. And a very important thing here to notice is that we humans often don't recognize our luck. Luck sometimes comes as at first sight as a crisis or as a bad luck. And our task is to understand that we don't always recognize our luck, and to understand that sometimes, or if you ask me, always, the crisis brings actually a great chance. So I could also say that the bigger the unluck is, the bigger the luck is actually. So the bigger the crisis is, the bigger the opportunity. I am talking out of experience, but that's another story. So accordingly, our task when this card shows up is to give up resistance and to understand that what is happening happens for us. Because if we show resistance, we are just going to generate suffering. And therefore, the most important thing is here to go with this flow, to accept and embrace whatever comes, right? And to go with this change. The important thing here is to release all those fixations, every resistance, and all the things that you may be clinging on, because again, this is against the life force. And instead of it, fix only your center, this center of the wheel. This is the only thing that shouldn't be moved, and the whole wheel, the rest, is supposed to be spinning all the time, because again, this is life. Accordingly, a very important thing here is to adapt, to go with this change, to go with the flow, to let go everything that keeps us in the past, and to trust life, to trust that whatever comes happens for the better, even if we don't recognize this at this point. Well, this brings us to the question of destiny and free will, which is one of the most ancient philosophical questions. And the question is, of course, are we at the end of the day free or no? Well, in case of the Wheel of Fortune, when this card shows up, we can assume that some external forces are at work. So things are happening from the outside world, and some external forces are working that we cannot really influence, right? So this is also about the cosmic law. However, we still have our freedom, and this is not contradiction actually, because what we have control over is this circle. This can be considered as our inner power zone. And within this power zone, we do have the choice. So at the end of the day, this card reminds us that there are things that we can influence, and there are things that we cannot influence. For example, things that you cannot influence is the weather, the New York Stock Exchange, the decisions of Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, and also even the decisions, the attitudes of your neighbor, of your partner, and generally the other person. However, on the other side, what you can influence, and this is your power zone, is your own attitude. How you react on things. What do you pay attention to? How do you use your energy, your money, your attention, and the like? And I could go on. This is a really long list. Actually, there are a lot of things that you can change that are within this power zone. And again, this is the most important question that this card asks. What are these things, and whether do you use this power? So again, are you focusing on the things that you can influence, or you are wasting your time and energy with getting upset about things that you at the end of the day cannot influence? I think this is the most important teaching of this card, and if there is only one thing that you get away with, I would like you to take this one. All right, then now let's take a look at the parallel topics, the common themes with the topic of the year, which is the Lovers. You may know that the Lovers is the main topic for 2022. And the Lovers is all about love, self-love, and authenticity, but also about choices. And here we have some interesting common themes. I have picked some, but I am sure you will find some more, and I'm really curious about them. So the first thing that comes into my mind, the first common symbol is the snake. We have it here and we have it here. And the snake was the one who has made Eve to eat from the apple tree, right? So the snake is this force that makes us to manifest in the material world, so that we can go through life and get to know ourselves, right? This is a very interesting common symbol. Another interesting common topic is the question of choice. You may remember, and if you don't, I recommend watching my video about the Lovers, that the Lovers is also very much about a very important choice. And this choice is really about love and not hate, but so it's between the right path and the wrong path. And the question is whether I can be true to myself, whether do I act from a place of self-alignment. Can I be myself? Do I know what is going on? And am I able to communicate this in an authentic way? So to cut it short, am I being authentic with my choice or no? So, and this choice also kind of shows up in a different form on this card, because we have seen that we do have a choice even if destiny is at work. And accordingly, the question is here, do I know what am I standing for? Do I know what is important for me? And do I use my power? And also, of course, there are some other interesting decisions, like, as we have seen, do I resist change or do I go with the flow and the like? So this choice topic can be unfolded in several levels. Feel free to do that yourself. All right, so these are my first thoughts, and now let me get back to the Wheel of Fortune. Well, after what we have discussed so far, I think there are some questions that are worth of considering, that can help you to understand yourself and your life better. The first one is, what is your attitude, your general attitude towards change? Every time when it comes, do you accept it? Can you welcome it as a friend? Or you are resisting, maybe out of fear, because you don't trust life and you want to cling onto all the old things, on the status quo. If so, another question is, how could you become more flexible, more adaptable, so that you can swing into the flow of life better? What things are you clinging on to? In other words, what could you release so that you can create more flow in your life, so that you can move out of a status quo and get some fresh energy and get things and that wheel moving and spinning? How about trust? Do you trust life? So every time something happens, are you able to trust it? Or again, your fears are switching in and you try to resist? And are you aware of your power zone, which is here, as we have discussed? Do you know that at the end of the day, you do have a choice? And that is, again, how do you react and the like? Are you ready for the change? Can you embrace it? And if so, if a new cycle begins in your life, can you look back the old cycle that you are leaving behind? And can you somehow sum up what you have learned and how did it help you to grow? This is also an interesting question. Another very, very important question is, given that it is also the card of karma, is that what do you spread out? Because you may know what goes around comes around, and therefore another important question is here, what is going around? Because no matter what goes around, sooner or later it will get back to you. So it is also about creating good karma for yourself by acting accordingly and sending out good things and good vibes. And of course, we also have here these two important questions, like, what can I change? So what is in my power, and what are the things that I cannot change, and therefore it doesn't make sense to get upset about them. And last but not least, maybe the most important cardinal question this card raises is, what does life want from me? So what is my mission in life? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Chances are that at this point you cannot answer this question yet. That is totally okay, because this is an unfolding, never-ending story. However, I think this is a really good idea to ask these questions over and over and over again, so that it becomes clear why are you here and how can you fulfill this mission in this life. All right, then, these are the questions, but I am sure you have some more in mind. Feel free to add them. And now, last but not least, I would like to give you a very short practice, which is super simply, and as I hope will help you to find more ease and flow. This is super simple. So every time in each situation you can ask the question, what can I change? So what is in my control and what is that I cannot change? If you make it a habit, then at some point you will automatically focus on the things that you can change and change them, and then let go the rest. In other words, do your best and let go of the rest. By doing so, you will find more ease, more flow. You will realize that you are not getting stressed anymore over things that you cannot influence, like the weather and the like. But on the other side, you will take your life back into your own hands, literally, by focusing on the things that you can change. Again, if you do so, you will soon realize that life will become much easier. And now, at the very end, I would like to give you a quote, which is supposed to be a prayer from Assisi Franciscus. And it goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I think this is a great prayer. I hope it helps you, and I hope that you will find the ease, you will find the flow, and you can swing into life better by embracing the change. I know that for me, it was super helpful. And again, I would like to remind you that change, crisis and change in general is always a great chance. I wish you to embrace it. I wish you all the best. Thanks a lot for your attention and see you again soon. Till then, take care of yourselves. Ciao.